Right, good evening. Welcome to this meeting of the Cabinet. Welcome to those watching online and those in the room. I'm Councillor Shantanu Rajawat, Leader of the Council and Chair of this meeting. I'm joined around the table by my colleagues on Cabinet who will introduce themselves as they speak this evening, and we're also joined around the table by officers of the Council who provide technical support and advice as required, but don't take part in the discussion or the decision-making process. We've got a lot to get through this evening, lots of very interesting items, so I hope you get something useful out of this meeting if you are watching online and in the audience. So I will go straight into the first item, which is apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Tom Bruce, Councillor Shivraj Garawal, and Councillor Peter Thompson, who has a standing invite as Leader of the Opposition but doesn't take part in voting, as well as Councillor Raza, who is Chair of Overview and Scrutiny, who also has a standing invite but doesn't take part in the voting. I think everyone else is here. Is that right? Look, Councillor Sampson, I think, is running late, so we'll put our apologies for lateness. Okay. Should be here. Should be here. Yeah. So, members, are there any declarations of interest on any item on the agenda? Can't see anyone indicating. Are there any communications to members on any of the items? No. Just drawing your attention to the monitoring officer's notes on declaring interests as well. Good. We then move on to the second item of the agenda, which is the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of November. I'll take them page by page for accuracy and matters arising. Page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, and page 11. Colleagues, are those minutes agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. Right. I'm going to vary the agenda ever so slightly. We've got two reports from Councillor Dunn, but I'm going to take the Climate Emergency Action Plan first and then follow that by the wider borough climate infrastructure. So Councillor Dunn, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, it made sense to do them that way around, so thank you for obliging that request. Councillor Catherine Dunn, Cabinet Member for Climate, Environment and Transport. So today I am presenting the updated Climate Emergency Action Plan for 2026 to 2030. So we declared a climate emergency in 2019 and published our first Climate Emergency Action Plan in 2020, which means that we're halfway through that 10-year commitment to tackling the climate emergency. It won't finish in 2030, but we do have some 2030 targets, which are important to talk about and understand. Being 5 years into it, we thought it was a good stage to review things and refresh the action plan, because quite a lot has changed in that time, and we've also learned a lot and done a lot. And one of the things we've learned about is how you can get tied up in trying to set baselines and counting tons of carbon, which is not to say we're not going to do that anymore. We are still looking at ways of doing that, but we're halfway towards our 2030 target for our net zero emissions from council activity. So we have to focus on doing, and we know what needs to be done. Reducing carbon emissions is about eliminating fossil fuels. So that comes down to removing gas heating from buildings, switching transport and fleet away from petrol and diesel, generating our own energy where we can, making sure that our supply chain is also thinking about net zero, that our suppliers have the plans of their own to do this, and of course coping with the effects of climate change that we are already seeing happening and will continue to get worse, even with everyone making the effort they are doing. So our refreshed plan focuses on 4 priorities: decarbonising household operations to reach net zero by 2030, reducing borough-wide emissions or influencing a reduction in borough-wide emissions in line with UK net zero targets of 2050, building our resilience to the impacts of climate change and promoting sustainable lifestyles for our residents, our staff, and ourselves. So far, we've delivered several major achievements. We do have decarbonisation measures in 24 corporate buildings, in 38 schools. Still a lot to be done, but we've started that. We have transitioned our waste and recycling fleet to an interim low-emission fuel. We've helped 11 community projects through the Community Energy Fund, and we are building new active travel routes and improving public transport. This isn't just about cutting carbon. It's about improving lives, creating warmer, cheaper to heat homes, having cleaner air, greener neighbourhoods, and safer, better transport options. And that's why I know you're all going to agree with my report tonight and help me getting past. I think it's a shame that Councillor Thompson couldn't be with us tonight, because I would hope that he would also give his support to the report. When we declared a climate emergency in 2019, it did have cross-party support. It has been disappointing to see at a national level the Conservatives moving away from their climate commitments with talk of repealing the Climate Change Act. But I am going to stay positive. I'm going to say not all Tories. Tomorrow, I'll be joining a cross-party delegation who are going to Downing Street with UK 100 and Climate Emergency UK to deliver a petition calling for a statutory climate change duty with the powers and the funding that councils need to continue what we've started here and to help others follow on that right path. Cutting carbon, improving lives is the right thing to do, and the polling shows that most people support action as well. Hounslow is leading by example, and with your support today, we can keep driving change locally and leading nationally. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Right, I'm going to formally second it and reserve my right to speak. So it's open now for discussion and debate. Anybody like to say anything on the report? Councillor Shaheen, don't forget to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Councillor Salman Shaheen, Cabinet Member for Culture, Leisure and Public Spaces. And I want to thank Councillor Dunn for bringing this report forward. I also want to thank you for the leadership you've displayed in all of our actions so far and ongoing to counter the climate emergency, and do our part in tackling that climate emergency we face. I mean, we've seen alarming reports. They get worse and worse nationally, globally. Looking at the statistics, we've seen reports that show that millions of lives could be lost as a result of climate inaction, as a result of Trump's policies in themselves. Just the inaction that he's taking, 1.3 million lives could be lost as a result of that. We've seen climate scientists suggesting that within our lifetimes, the Gulf Stream could be disrupted, which would quite counterintuitively bring winters of minus 20 degrees to London, and I, for one, don't want that. Nor do we want to see the crop failures across sub-Saharan Africa, or the deforestation of the rainforest and the disruption of the ecosystems that will bring. It would be naive to suggest that Hounslow Council can stop that, but we can do our part, and I want to thank you for leading that way and doing our part.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sheen. Anyone else indicating? So I'll say just a few words as a seconder of the report and echo your words, Councillor Sheen, in thanking you, Councillor Dunn, for your leadership on this. It seems fitting that it was you that declared the emergency on behalf of the council in 2019, and you really championed it. But actually, as with everything that we do in this council, it's not just a plan in isolation that we update on. It sits across everything we do in the council. And actually, you will see in the reports, we talk about climate and the impact on climate on all of our policies. And that's absolutely the right thing to do. We know that a lot of those interventions, whilst I'd love for Hounslow Council to solve all the world's problems, doing our bit is really, really important, but we can't do everything on our own. And what this report talks to is the partnerships that we develop and nurture and convene in order, both in terms of national organisations, but also locally as well, to deal with this. I'm particularly proud, although we've spoken about it elsewhere, this report talks about the commencement of procurement for our strategic energy partnership, which is with the private sector, which is absolutely the right thing to do, but also the heat network that we're working on in the borough, which will really help our residents access cheaper energy and efficiencies there. But everything that we do, from building houses, has a focus on this report and everything that it entails. So absolutely, that, congratulations to you and the team on the leadership there. But we are absolutely signalling in this report that we take this seriously, and we're not just putting words on a page. We are actually delivering actions. So really, really proud of that. If there's no one else, the recommendations on this report are on page 13, 1 to 8. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Councillor Dunn, back to you for the wider borough climate infrastructure.
Great, thank you. Yes, and you sort of preempted some of that, which is great, and because it is absolutely follows on from what we've just been saying. This report now focuses on how we can deliver that wider borough infrastructure that we need to achieve our ambitions for the borough as a whole, not just for us as a council and what we do, but everything our businesses do, everything our residents do, schools, charities, public sector, private sector. It's all part of that wider borough that is emitting carbon, needs to stop, bring it down, but represents a huge opportunity again for us to really improve things. So whilst we have made that strong progress on council operations, the biggest challenge for us is reducing emissions across homes, across businesses, and across transport. And that requires large-scale infrastructure and significant investment. So as leaders mentioned, there are 2 key points in this report. Firstly, establishing a strategic energy partnership. This will be done under a strategic partner-led joint venture model. And it sounds complex, but the details are in the report. Obviously not going to go into detail, but please do read them. And the good thing about this is it will unlock billions of pounds of funding in private sector investment to accelerate that borough-wide decarbonisation. And second, you've heard me talk about this before, I get quite excited talking about it, procurement for a heat network development partner. This would be under the Golden Share joint venture model. And this would be to deliver a borough-wide heat network using waste heat from Mogden Sewage Works. How exciting is that? Maybe not. But also potentially it's the investment in the borough that is so exciting. The phase 1 alone of such a network could unlock around £45 million investment for the borough, and over the whole future phases, it could be over £400 million. And so both of these partnerships are doing things or will do things that the council can't do on its own. We can't do these things on our own. So setting up these partnerships will reduce the financial risk to the council and bring benefits far beyond that carbon reduction: warmer, cheaper to heat homes, cleaner air, greener neighbourhoods, safer walking and cycling routes, new jobs and skills, economic growth through private investment. So I'm asking you to help me here and approve the recommendations so that we can move forward at the pace that we need to and ensure that, again, we continue to lead in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. I will formally second and reserve my right to speak on this, so it's now open for discussion and debate. Anybody? I think we kind of said it in the previous report, quite possibly, so I'll move straight to the vote. And my apologies, colleagues, in moving the 2 reports around, you actually voted on this paper last. So I'm going to retake the vote just in the interest of transparency. So we're going to first vote again on the Climate Emergency Action Plan, the recommendations of which are on page 45, 1 to 3. Can I see all those in favour of that? That's carried unanimously. Now we're going to vote again on this report as Councillor Dunn's just delivered. Yeah, no. Yeah, don't change your votes. Which is on page 13, 1 to 8. Can I see all those in favour of those? Okay, that is also carried unanimously. Apologies, Councillor Dunn, and thank you very much. Right, we now move on to agenda item 5, which is the quarterly performance reporting. Cabinet will be very aware of this report. There's so much activity happening across the council. Having a clear and transparent method to report performance is really important. It's a report that you will all be very, very familiar with. It's not, as I've always said, about greenwashing anything or redwashing. It's about really understanding where we are and understanding as an organisation where there might be gaps or things that we need to focus a little bit more on. So with that, I will formally move the report. Councillor Chowdhury, would you second for me?
Thank you, Councillor Samir Chowdhury. Happy to second the report, but I would just like to say a few words now, if it's okay. On this report, you must have seen about the pupil who have been persistently absent on school, and we've been working on this. So months into the start of the academic year, the attendance rate across Hounslow schools is on track to exceed the reach of for the last year. Since the start of the term, focus has sharpened on the pupils with severe absence. So it's been really good to see that the severe absence is defined by the DFE as an attendance rate of 50% or less. So we've already involved ourselves this term with the project with the DFE focusing on severe absence. A data-informed and targeted approach has been established by the School Attendance Support Service with schools, and we have adjusted our resources to support the schools where attendance last year did not improve. So we continue to promote a multi-agency approach with early help, CAM, and children's social care to extend supportive responses for families. And I would like to say thank you very much to all involved who have been working on this, and thank you to all the teachers towards the end of the term for a great work, and happy to second it.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. That's been moved and seconded, so it's now open for discussion and debate. Anybody like to say anything on this report? Oh, lots of hands. Excellent. We'll go with Councillor Bath first, and then Councillor Sheehan.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Lily Bath, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, Public Health and Health and Social Care Integration. So I just wanted to pick up some activities relating to my portfolio, which is within this report. So I think you will have heard me talk many times about our efforts in reducing falls amongst those sorry, I've just lost my train of thought there. I'll start again. Yeah, so falls, yeah. So you would have heard us talk about how we've got really concerted effort in reducing falls amongst elderly 65 plus. And I'm pleased to report that in Q1, we had 465 compared to 604. And I think that shows some of our programs that we've put in place to address this are really working. I think you will have heard me about the Stay Steady and Active program, which tries to get people to sort of take part in activities so that they are sort of stronger and less likely to fall. So that's a good story. You've also heard me talk about the outreach teams, the HOT teams, and they provide outreach and engagement with residents, helping them with health checks, identifying some health problems at an earlier stage, such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes and stroke, all of the early sort of intervention that we want to do to try and keep people safe and healthy as possible and out of hospital. So all of those are really good story. Obviously, we want to make some improvements in our carers assessments for carers, and we will be looking at doing more further work in that area so that we have timely assessments for carers, so that they get the support needed quickly. I just also quickly wanted to say that we have also improved on our First Act assessments for adult social care. Care Act assessments, which is obviously again really important because the quicker you assess, the quicker you get services put in place. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bath. Really helpful for you to draw that out. As you've already spoken once, I'm going to take Councillor Pritam Grewal first. Councillor Pritam Grewal.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Pritam Grewal, Lead Member for Community Safety, Enforcement and Customer Service. I've got a couple of good stories in my portfolio, Leader. Our corporate team commitment to creating safer communities strategy is showing results. The team have done excellent work in reducing fear of crime, now just 1% above London average. Continued related work and enforcement action will reduce it further. And we have 176 robbery offenses recorded compared to 177, which is the same, nearly same, but 7.9% decrease when we compare that with the last year of this period. And the second one is our customer service answered 41,741 calls during Q2 with an answer rate of 84%, which is 2% more than the last quarter, Q1. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grewal. Councillor Shaheen.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Leader, for this opportunity to speak. I very much appreciate it. Now, I'm pleased to say, for the first time now in this document, I'm pleased to be able to say that we are on course to either meet or possibly even exceed our target of investing £5.4 million in our green infrastructure, which means improvements to parks and green spaces across the borough. And I'm very excited that we can say that. Obviously, when we make those pledges at the beginning of an administration, we don't know exactly when that money is going to get spent, but we now know that we are on course to meet or exceed that target of investing into our parks. And also, this is on there every time, but we can see and I talk about it all the time the tree planting targets. We pledged to plant 20,000 trees. We've massively exceeded that, 25,000 trees so far over the course of this administration, and it just speaks to the environmental initiatives and the two sides of the coin in environmental initiatives that we talk about in the borough. We heard Councillor Dunn earlier talking about our efforts to reach net zero by decarbonising our council operations. Well, this is the other side. What do we do about the carbon already in the atmosphere? What do we do about the air pollution already on our streets? And planting trees is a key weapon we have in that arsenal. Again, just as our small part in that, but we're playing it.
Quite right, Councillor Sheen. Thank you very much. Councillor Ajmer Grewal.
Thank you. Councillor Ajmer Grewal, Cabinet Member for Resident Support, Communities and Equalities. I always forget that, I have to write it down. Now, as we've just had White Ribbon Day and we are a White Ribbon Council, I just wanted to thank the domestic violence team. As you can see in the report, in Q2, 25-26, the service collected 152 feedback forms, marking a 29.4% increase compared to last year. So the domestic and sexual abuse survivors feel safe and are happy with the specialist help offered and know their voices are heard and used to shape safer and more responsive interventions. Our 16 days of activism, said it. We saw videos from service users and survivors talking about their experiences. This continued rise in engagement reflects the growing trust and willingness of the clients to share their experiences and contribute to service development. And I also just wanted to say that through our Thriving Communities Fund, I'm very pleased to say that more residents are benefiting from this. 13,735 residents reached from the small grants allocated in Q2, which is significantly up from Q1. And I believe that last year we reached over half of the residents living in the borough through the TCF, which is very impressive in terms of reach. The TCF is a critical tool to help us accelerate support community groups, charities, and residents. I'm well proud of them. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely we are. Absolutely we are. Anyone else? Part of the recommendations are to note the outcome from the assessment from the regulator of social housing. Councillor Sampson, do you want to say anything on the outcome from that inspection?
Yeah, sorry, Leader. Yes, I'm proud to announce that we were awarded the second highest rating by the regulator, a C2. In their findings, we have got an action plan. There's 7 items that we need to work on, which came as no surprise. To be honest, we were actually working on them before they arrived. So, like I say, it was of no surprise. But we're fully we're underway. And all being well, we should be operating to a C1 standard by as early as next summer. Not saying that we're going to be assessed then, obviously, probably not, but we will be working to that higher standard. So, but yeah, I just want to I thank the staff already, but I would just like to publicly thank the staff again for everybody that was involved. It was a good outcome, first time we'd been assessed, and look forward to the future assessments and getting that C1.
Thank you, Councillor Sampson. Of course, goes without saying, shows that we are investing in our tenants and in our housing stock and consumer standards, of course. Go on.
Yeah, no, of course. And the regulator was very impressed in areas, there was a lot of strengths. We just had, like I say, 7 slight weaknesses, if you like, but there was no concern, no life-threatening concerns or anything like that. But no, the regulator was very impressed at the way that we operate, and we've got good staff, so it's good.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Sampson. Is there anyone else on this report? I can't see anyone indicating, so we'll move straight to the recommendations, which are on page 161 and 2. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Right, we now move on to the delivery plan monitoring 25-26, specifically quarter 2. Again, a report that Cabinet will be well aware of. We are an ambitious council serving a great borough. Our corporate plan aptly is called Ambitious for Hounslow, and we have lived that for the last 4 years as we get to the end of this administration. It's really important that we deliver on all those promises that we made to our residents, and we have monitored how we have performed along the way. Cabinet will be aware of this, but those watching, there are 4 portfolios that we concentrate on: people, place, capital, so infrastructure in effect, and then digital and the increasing use of digital across the council and across the borough as well. This report tracks the progress of that. Again, like the previous report, it's not about greenwashing. It's about an honest assessment of where we are against our plan. And I think we are making very good progress against our plans. But that's just words on a page. Actually, what that needs to translate is a better experience for our residents, and certainly feedback that I'm getting. Whilst there's still always work to do, people are starting to see that the interventions that we're putting in place are bearing dividends and benefit for them. So it's something that we can, of course, be proud of, but never lose sight of, and always double down on. So I'll formally move the report. Councillor Ajmer-Garawal, would you like to second this one?
I will do. Thank you very much, Leader. I second it and reserve my right.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Garawal. So it's been moved and seconded. Any comments on this one? It's a fairly straightforward report. Right, I've got Councillor Dunn first, Peter Garawal, then Lee Bath, then Councillor Tabry.
Thank you. Yeah, just some brief commentary on the climate change resilience plan, which is within the place portfolio. And of course, that also comes under the Climate Emergency Action Plan that I spoke of earlier. But just to go into a little bit more about what that means, as that is something that we are developing and hoping to publish next year. So this is about how we build resilience and adapt to those changes that we are seeing and will continue to see through climate change. We know that we already have wetter winters and hotter, drier summers, and that can mean more severe climate-related events such as floods, wildflowers. That would be nice. Wildfires and heat waves, which are all things that we have seen in the borough and we will see more of, and we need to make sure that we are prepared for that and that we are protecting our residents from these things. And so we're developing this. It means putting in place critical infrastructure, looking at the built environment, but also looking at those nature-based solutions that Councillor Shaheen was talking about earlier. Excuse me, making sure that we have our emergency planning and response in place for when these events do happen, and making sure that we have the right data so that we can monitor and predict, and that council operations and services are resilient in order to deal with these things. So I won't get into more detail. We will be, as I said, we're developing various things that will be published next year. I guess one thing just to mention is SUDS, which is Sustainable Urban Drainage Schemes, and this links back to the previous report, the quarterly status report. I didn't mention it then, but just to say we have delivered on the 9 SUDS schemes that we had in partnership with Thames Water. They're all now complete, which is really good to know. But we're not stopping there. We are doing more with the Environment Agency. We're doing more with Department for Education at schools, and so ploughing ahead with that to make sure that we are as resilient as we can, because they can really help to reduce flooding in the borough by reducing that runoff water, making sure that it goes down, is soaked into the ground and runs away naturally, rather than all running off, filling up the drains and then causing all kinds of chaos and flooding, but also some of that sewage overflow that we know causes massive pollution in our rivers.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Pritam Garawal.
Thank you, Leader. I have a couple of things in my portfolio. Cabinet approved a new operating model of enforcement last month, LBH, and it represents a significant and positive transformation in how we deliver enforcement on behalf of our residents. By adopting this new approach, we are taking a clear stand for fairness, responsibility, and pride in our borough. We will ensure that those who respect our shared spaces feel supported, and those who do not face appropriate consequences. Most importantly, we will be giving residents the confidence that their council is listening, acting, and present where it matters most in their communities. And the second one is, we are already seeing the benefit of our launch of our new website, and that was launched in July 25, which was delivered under the Transformation for Communities Experience program. New website satisfaction increased by 3% from 29 to 32%. In September, August was 29 and 32% in September. And we have seen increase in website hits as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garawal. Councillor Bath.
Thank you, Leader. I just wanted to update the Cabinet really on the extra housing schemes that we've talked about in the past and agreed. So we know that we've got challenges with regards to the older population and providing a long-term sort of stable housing for them. And we agreed the extra care housing to be delivered, which is all really to say it's all going on track. It is green and it will deliver a scheme for adults 55 plus. It's not due to open until 28-29. I know it's a long way away, but it's an ambitious program and it's about providing good outcomes for the future challenges that we actually have. And the same goes for Neem Garden site in Hanworth as well. Again, a 70-unit scheme, and with 4 new extra care schemes. So again, some good progress being made there. Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Bath. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you. I think first time when I spoke, I didn't introduce myself. So Councillor Samia Chowdhury, Cabinet Member for Children's Education Employment Skills. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight within the delivery plan monitoring report. The first one is currently we have 3 children's homes in development, so which will be increasing the internal capacity and the reduced resilience on external placements. Cabinet approved a strategic business case for the West London residential project in September, and I'm pleased to announce that the groundwork at Bedford Lane Children's Home site and Ofsted registration application should be completed by April 2026. However, we're always considering how we can increase capital investment to build the additional homes, which would further the benefit internal capacity and generate saving. The next one, I'm sure everyone must have seen the Fostering Sufficiency marketing campaign launch we've done. Our aim is to increase in-house foster carer recruitment and reduce the dependency on the costly independent fostering agencies. Increasing in-house foster cares will help delivering positive outcome, including better oversight, improve the support, and ensuring children remain in Hounslow, which fit with our children's model of care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Yes, and anyone watching online, if you are considering fostering, it's very rewarding. Please do come and have a chat with us. We need more. Shameless plug. Anyone else on this report? No, I can't see anyone indicating. So the recommendations on this are on page 187, 1 to 4. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Apologies, Cabinet. You've got me for 2 more items. So we're going to move on to agenda item 7, which is the corporate services contract review outline business case. So by way of background, we have a corporate services contract that we've had for a number of years, delivering back office services, including parts of the HR processing, payroll, revenues and benefits, council tax administration as well. That contract is due to conclude on the 30th of September. We've already extended it once. There is no provision within the contract to extend it any further, but it is a very, very big contract that the council has with an external provider. So it's an opportune moment for us to go out and look at what is available in the market, look at how the service is performing, and start doing some soft market testing, but also in line with our aims as a administration, think about what we can bring in within that services to in-house provision as well. This outline business case sets that out, and it sets out that we have done some market engagement. In terms of the recommendations for future delivery, we are proposing that revenue and benefits, along with customer services and education services, payroll and HR systems, and accounts payable continue to be delivered externally, and we will go out to the market subject to your agreement on that. But we do bring in debt collection, financial assessments, appointee and deputyship, and the housing rent accounting as well. And part of the work, should you agree this evening, is for the team to go away and start working that up. So we are ready to go in 27, because there will be a transition period, and it is a very big, complex contract that you need to break up and rework through. So I won't the details within the report. So I'll just formally move it with that. Councillor Dunn, would you be willing to second this one?
Yes, I second the report and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. It's open for discussion and debate. Anybody? Again, a fairly straightforward outline business case. Can't see anyone, so we will move straight to the vote. The recommendations are on page 256, 1 to 8. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right, you'll be pleased to know I think this is probably the last report that I'll be speaking to. I do so on behalf of Councillor Bruce, who has been doing a lot of work on this alongside all of us. And it's about the Future Feltham Investment Framework. Feltham is an absolutely amazing place. It's vibrant, it's buzzing, it's full of changing communities that really add to the fabric of it. It's people that are so engaged in their localities, in their streets, in the villages that make up that tapestry of Feltham, and it is an absolutely amazing place. And I suppose when you distill that down, Feltham is a place of community and a very proud community, and we're all very proud that Feltham is in the borough and adds to the diversity of our borough. Cabinet will be aware over the years we've made strategic investments, and that's delivered a significant number of homes, revitalised green spaces, brought in brand new community facilities, including most recently the Eco Cabin just near Feltham Green, which Brian May and Freddie Mercury's sister came and opened, which was a fantastic moment. And obviously the revitalised Freddie Mercury Memorial as well. What a famous guy to have living in the borough and commemorated in the borough. But it is time, as we have done in all of our town centres over the last 4 years, to start thinking about what that momentum brings and what the future of Feltham could be. And this is what this investment framework sets out. It's a bold, coordinated approach to create lasting benefits for residents, businesses, and the vibrancy that we already see within Feltham itself. And so the framework itself, just to draw out a couple of key points, has 3 big moves. So the first move is to deliver a flagship neighbourhood on what was the old MOD site, and that builds on a trailblazing public partnership. So us, the MOD and the GLA. The site itself will be transformed into London's first truly green intergenerational quarter that delivers much needed homes, jobs and community spaces. The second big move is to put young people and skills at the heart of growth and make Heathrow's growth work for Feltham. Working with key partners, we will create visible education and skills hubs, link residents to jobs in food innovation, film and TV, logistics and Heathrow-linked industries. The framework will support progress on key council sites, including reimagining the Assembly Hall as a multi-use community facility with a strong focus on young people. The third move is to build a greener, more connected and culturally vibrant town. We will enhance green spaces, reimagine the Longford River as a green corridor, invest in community assets and celebrate Feltham's heritage and creativity. So what have we done already? Feltham is already changing through long-term investment. We've already had 1,500 homes delivered or in the pipeline. We've made significant progress at Hamworth Park House, unlocking heritage, restoration and new homes. The opening of the new Reach Academy, new community space, as I said earlier, the Eco Cabin and the Freddie Mercury Memorial Garden, and improved access to parks and green spaces. What will this framework deliver over the course of the medium term? Well, we're looking at a big difference. 3,000 new homes, 9,000 jobs, new improved community and youth facilities, better public spaces and greener streets, and clearer routes from learning to work, for local people. And so you're being asked to approve the investment framework, evidence-based, endorse early delivery action on phase 1 accelerator sites, and approve the 1.15 million to progress design feasibility and early delivery. And what I would say is, going back to the pride that we have and that community pride that exists in Feltham, this is not about the council doing onto Feltham. This is about Feltham really reimagining what its future looks like, and us supporting that journey. So I'm really proud to move this report, and I'm going to ask Councillor Bath if she would second this one, please.
Yeah, sure. I'd be really proud to second it actually, and I'll say a few words now. I mean, when I went to the memorial opening, I think it really reminded me about what a vibrant community Feltham is, and this sort of encapsulates it all. And I mean, I agree with everything that has been proposed here. It goes without saying, but I'm also really pleased that we've actually had a really strong voice from the community and young people, because both myself and Councillor Chowdhury, we've both had the portfolio, and we've worked with young people from within Feltham and around Feltham, and listening to sort of their asks as well. So yeah, really pleased to second this, and I hope we can continue to get that sort of enthusiasm and buy-in from our local communities here in Feltham. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bath. It's been moved and seconded. It's now open for discussion and debate. Councillor Hajimagaro.
No discussion, no debate. I just want to say, well proud of the project. And I'm so proud of Feltham because I went to school there. So there.
There you go. Councillor Samia Chowdhury.
Right, thank you very much. I think I just wanted to say I'm really glad to see this. This is a major opportunity to shape Feltham, Feltham's future, and obviously to see 3,000 more new homes and around 9,200 jobs, as you've mentioned, and obviously facilities and the space for community and for our youth, which I think it's really important for the whole borough. For West End of the borough, we have been speaking about the youth provision and the facilities and what we can do for our youths within our existing buildings and more. So thank you so much. Really happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Anyone else on this report? Can't see anyone else indicating, so we will go straight to the vote on this. Recommendations are on page 281. 1, 2, 3. Can I see all those in favour? I'm so enthusiastic, I'm going to vote twice. There you go. There you go. Good. That is carried. That is carried. Wonderful. Right. I'm going to take a little bit of a break now. We are going to move to agenda item 9, non-assessed short breaks framework. Councillor Chowdhury, back to you.
Right, thank you very much, Leader. So I'm really pleased to introduce this report on short break, which is very important service that supports our disabled children and young people across Hounslow. I would like to thank officers who have prepared the report and all those who've involved delivering this service. Short break provides enjoyable one-to-one and group social activities that help reduce the social isolation while promoting personal and social development. We took a part in survey. The survey results included in the report highlights just how valuable and impactful these breaks are for those who use them. And they make a real difference in the lives of children, young people and their families, while aligning with our priorities of creating a healthy and thriving Hounslow and delivering on our commitments in corporate plan to improve outcomes for children and families. Our short breaks are open to all children and young people up to the age of 18 who have disability or special education need. Importantly, an assessment of a need by a social worker is not required to register and access the service, reducing barriers and ensuring support is easy to reach. So since 2013, our framework commissioning model has helped us deliver high quality services, maintain strong relationship with providers and manage budget responsibly, all while achieving positive outcome for our children. We plan to continue using this model, supported by an open market approach to identify new qualified providers who can help expand and diversify our offer based on the feedback from the Parent and Carer Forum. We will be looking to prioritize new activities such as overnight stay, museum visits, sleepovers, camping opportunities outside of the residential care, and activities for children under 5. All current providers will have the opportunity to bid to remain on the framework, and we are actively engaging with them to ensure they are informed about the process and the timelines. So to ensure the continuity and avoid delays, after procurement, we are also requesting delegated authority to approve the final contract without returning to Cabinet. This will enable us to move quickly and maintain the high standard of support families depend on. Finally, one of the saving for 32,000 as a part of the One Hounslow financial strategy will be delivered through operational efficiency achieved without any reduction in service quality or level. So with this, I would ask Cabinet to approve the report, and the recommendations are on the page 121 on my pack. You might be different because you've got all the appendices. I had to see the appendices online. So the recommendation 1, 2, and 3. So mine is page 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Bath, are you going to second this?
Yes, I'm happy to second it, and I'll reserve my right to speak. Thank you.
Okay, it's open for discussion and debate. Anybody like to say anything on this report? Very good, straightforward report, actually. So we'll move straight into the vote on ours. On the full pack, it's on page 500. 1 to 3. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right. We, as a borough, investing in culture, now need a revised culture strategy. Councillor Sheen, over to you.
Thank you very much, Leader. Actually, not a revised culture strategy, our first ever culture strategy. We've never had a culture strategy before, so I'm very excited to bring this forward, as we will have a culture strategy if we pass this report today. And what this does is it sets out the vision for culture across the borough for the next decade to come. But I think the important thing to say is that this isn't Hounslow Council's culture strategy. This is Hounslow Borough's culture strategy. It's the product of months and months of hard work, in which we've had multiple consultations with residents, surveys with residents, workshops with both the creators and consumers of culture, many workshops over the period of pulling together this culture strategy. But it's been co-created with cultural providers and cultural institutions from across the borough. Just a few that spring to mind are Creative Mile, Gunnersbury Trust, Chiswick House, Hounslow Arts Trust, Brentford Voice, Culture Commons, Feltham Arts, and many more. All of whom have been part of the steering group of this culture strategy, all of whom have had their input throughout the process, and all of whom ultimately work together with us on this, and were presented with the final draft of this before it came to Cabinet. So very much a co-creation, not Hounslow Council's cultural strategy, Hounslow Borough's cultural strategy, because we want to make sure it serves the needs of all of our residents, it serves the needs of all of our cultural providers as well. And the purpose of it really ultimately is, we're facing at this point nationally huge threats to the arts and to culture, including to funding and consumption patterns. And we need a coordinated approach to ensure that culture in Hounslow doesn't just survive these national threats, but thrives in this new environment, and forges ahead for this next decade, serving also our key objectives and what we want to come out of culture. Now, this strategy looks holistically at arts and culture across the borough, but it's also locally specific. And that was one of the key things that came out of our discussions with the steering group and with our consultations. Residents groups, community groups, like, for example, Brentford Voice, didn't just want this to be one size fits all, and we agreed with that. So as part of this culture strategy, there's a massive focus on the town centres, on localized strategies, on opportunities and threats, and strengths, and how we can bring culture forward in a very localized way, as well as holistically across the borough. Now, what do we want out of this culture strategy? Well, we want to put Hounslow on the map. We want Hounslow to be a destination borough, a place where people come to from across London, across the UK, and from abroad to come and consume culture in our borough. But we also want to celebrate what we have here already. We've got a diversity of communities and rich heritage, and we want to celebrate that. They are more than a sum of their parts, and with this culture strategy, hopefully that will empower that. We want to nurture local creativity and talent as part of this. We have so much talent right here in Hounslow, and we want to encourage them, we want to nurture them, we want to help grow that talent. And we want culture to serve targeted, sustainable renewal and economic growth as well, because that's so important to everything else we do. We want to harness culture to improve people's well-being and empower young people as well. Now, this culture strategy is going to be delivered through a series of action plans. The first of these 2-year action plans will be forthcoming soon, and I do look forward to bringing that forward. That ultimately that puts the meat on the bones of how we're going to and what concrete actions we're going to be taking in the next steps of this culture strategy. But what this culture strategy is our North Star, and I want that North Star to guide us throughout this next decade as we develop culture in the borough. And with that ultimate goal, hopefully one day I would like to see, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Hounslow winning London Borough of Culture.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Thank you, Councillor Shaheen.
I'd like to second that, Councillor Leader.
All right. You can second that.
I second that, and I endorse everything you said, and I'm well proud of the culture strategy. Well done. Thank you.
Cool. It's been moved and seconded, so it's now open for discussion and debate. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd also like to thank Councillor Shaheen for bringing this forward. I think the culture strategy sets out a really bold vision for Hounslow and what we'd like to see in terms of culture, with culture basically being central to our community life, but also well-being, economic growth, as you mentioned. And I think it's a perfect way to celebrate our heritage, but also to look to the future and foster that creative talent and make sure that we're so diverse in this borough, and there's probably cultural things that are happening that we don't know about, that I don't know about, because I go and see the things I want to see, but I want to learn more about what's happening in the borough. And I think it's really exciting that we as a council, but also the wider partners, as you've described, can help to bring that about. I'm obviously particularly excited about Brentford as a town centre, being as much of it falls within my council ward, because there's so much going on there that we can build on. The Riverside Heritage, the canals, the Canal Festival, the Creative Mile, all of which have come up from the grassroots. They're not things that the council developed or imposed, but we have worked with the people who developed those festivals, and I think we can do loads more. We've got historic houses, museums, creative economy, artists hubs, and we're going to have a new arts centre, which is really exciting. So yeah, thank you for bringing this forward. I really look forward to seeing how the action plans develop. And I know it's a model that works in terms of having a strategy and then really concentrating on what are the actions, what are we going to do to bring this into reality.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dunn. Anyone else on this report? I'll put my 2 pence in, if I may. So, completely endorse your comments about Borough of Culture. I looked across this way. We're going to make it happen, aren't we? We definitely are. The chief exec says yes, therefore it's going to happen. But actually, when I'm out at conferences talking to people that are thinking about investing and looking where they're going to put their money, one of the things that they often comment about, to your point, Councillor Dunn, around our heritage, is there's a strong sense of heritage and culture within the borough, and that provides a perfect springboard in terms of looking to the future. And I'm really glad, amongst everything else that's within the strategy, you are talking about economic growth, because we are a borough not only of diverse people and diverse communities living side by side, but a real entrepreneurial spirit, and basing that entrepreneurial spirit around culture and creativity. It's not lost on anyone around the table. I know that we were one of the first boroughs to be award money from the Mayor of London to be in the creative enterprise zone. 40% of all production jobs in film and TV exist within our borough. So that creativity, that culture is all part of that tapestry that will lead us to both growth, but also being proud of what the next 25 years, 50 years of this borough look like, tying into the work that we're already doing for Vision 2050. So, this is, you're right, it is much more than just a culture strategy. This is a statement of intent from a borough that is really looking forward. And that's why I absolutely endorse all the work that you and your team have done, Councillor Sheen, and thank you for all that work as well. So there's no one else on this, so we'll move to the recommendations, which are on page 508, 1 and 2. Can I see all those in favour? That also gets 2 hands up for me. There you go. Good. Right. We now move to agenda item 11, public transport plan. Councillor Dunn, back to you.
Thank you. So this report seeks Cabinet approval to consult on Hounslow's first dedicated public transport plan, another first. I'm told it's the first, the only in London borough to have a public transport plan. And it may be, at first glance, you can say, well, yes, Hounslow, you don't run the public transport. You've got TfL to do that. You've got South Western Railway, Network Rail, etc. But there is a huge amount that we can influence, and public transport is a top priority for residents and businesses in this borough. This came out very clearly for us when we were consulting on the overarching transport strategy last year. So I made it a priority to bring this forward, so that we've got a really, I think it's a good plan that's been set out, but it's not good enough yet. It needs to have people's views on it. And that's why I'm asking for it to go out to consultation in the new year, so that we can check that we are on the right track. Have we got anything missing? What is it that residents want to see? We heard during the consultation on the transport strategy about some of the frustrations people have with public transport in the borough, whether that's unreliable bus services or train cancellations or stations that are not accessible. And so this plan it is basically looks to put actions in place that will address those, but we need to make sure that we have got it right. Because again, public transport is not just about connectivity, getting around, it's about fairness, it's about health and opportunity, access to work, to healthcare and so on. You need to be able to access public transport to be able to do those things. So I think that I'm really pleased with what the team have put together, and I know they've already done quite a lot of engagement across the council. This is definitely not something that's been produced in a silo, and now is the time to take it wider to the public. I'm very proud of it. I'm really excited to see what people have to say about it as well. So in brief, whilst we will require that strong collaboration in order to deliver this with our partners such as TfL, Network Rail, South Western Railway, and also Heathrow Airport, the plan also does identify actions that we as a council can take, such as putting in place bus priority measures and station access improvements, providing funding towards those through measures like Section 106 and SIL funding. So let's get it out there, see what people think, get the feedback, and so that we can move ahead and finalise this plan. It will deliver greener, healthier and a more connected Hounslow.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dunn. Councillor Sheen, will you second this one?
Happy to second this one, and I reserve my right to speak.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded, so I'm open for discussion. Anybody like to say anything on this report? Of course, can't see anyone indicating. Of course, whilst it is going out to consultation, again, it points to the strength of the partnerships that we build, both with our residents in terms of seeking their views, but also with stakeholders who operate within the borough. The largest probably is all TfL, and I suppose in many respects this gives us TfL a really strong evidence base of stuff that they can go away and do that we often talk about. So absolutely commend the work that's gone into this, and I look forward to seeing what comes back once residents have had an opportunity to look at it, and I encourage everyone to look at it and respond to it. So I can't see anyone else indicating, so the recommendations on this are on page 540, 1.1 and 1.2. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Wonderful. Thank you. Right, agenda item 12, buildings cleaning services, Koalo. So this is a fairly straightforward authority from Cabinet to enter into a contract with Koalo for a period of 3 years from January the 1st, 2026, for the cleaning of our buildings and schools and other associated council buildings, with the option to extend for a further 2 years after the original 3 years are up, which will be the 31st of December 2028. So our original contract with Koalo for cleaning services started in September 2020, and again was for a period of 3 years, with an option then as well to extend for 2 years. That extension was progressed at the beginning of 23, so we are coming to the end of it. It's worth noting that obviously Koalo, as part of the Lambton Group, and Lambton is wholly owned by the council, so we save a lot of money going out to procure services, having a TECL compliant company within the council, or owned fully by the council, sorry. Koalo is a London living wage employer as well, and that commitment will remain as part of this contract, as we do with everything else that we procure. So all the detail is within the report. I think it's fairly straightforward, so I'm just going to move it. Councillor Sampson, will you second?
Yes, Leader, I'll happily second and reserve my right to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sampson. Right, any comments or discussion on this? Councillor Dunn.
Yes, just want to say very much support the report. This is part of what we do. It's about providing good quality services, good quality jobs, making sure that workers are paid the London living wage. And so, yes, absolutely makes sense. It's in line with all of our values, and gives us the outcomes that we want to see.
Thank you, Councillor Dunn. Right. Can't see anyone else indicating. So the recommendations on this are on page 587, 1 and 2. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Right, we are at our last item on the agenda, community equipment service. Councillor Bath, over to you.
Thank you. So this report relates to a statutory service that is provided to our residents, community equipment services, basically. So we provide or we procure a provider to provide daily living aids and equipment to many people who rely on them to maintain independence and safety in their own homes. So, for example, it might be things like aids, adaptations. It could be things around helping them to stay safe in their home, equipment for people who might have been discharged from hospital, people who might have health problems, or it could be disabled children. So there's all manner of equipment that is provided to keep people safe in their home. So at the moment, we are using a provider which is providing a good service for us. So the outcomes are good and we're pleased with it. And so what essentially this paper, this proposal is that we continue with our current provider because the contract will come to an end in March next year. So given that this is a hugely important service. We want to make sure that the equipment it arrives to people on time and it is good quality and it supports them. And so therefore we want continuity and safety. I think it's also worth remembering that without having a good quality service, we could potentially see delays in hospital charges, discharges, increased risks to safety, and a rising demand in adult social care placements. So for that reason, it's important that we have something good and robust in place. So what I'm proposing is that if you all agree that we continue with our current arrangements and procure again the current provider that we have when the contract finishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bath. Councillor Chowdhury, will you second?
Happy to second it. Just going to add a few, couple of things in. Like Councillor Bath has said, I think this is really important service where a lot of our residents are relying on this service. It's important to carry on. I think we've had, as long as I understand, Councillor Bath, I have had chats to people who do receive their equipment. It's been, they've been really good and happy on this. So I'm happy to support and second it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chowdhury. Right, it's been moved and seconded. It's open for discussion and debate. Councillor Dunn.
Yeah, just briefly, I'm obviously very happy to support the report for all the reasons that Councillor Bath has spoken about. Also, pleased to see the decarbonisation update appendix. Is just an example of the things that we're trying to do through procurement of services, and as well as the things that we can implement ourselves in order to meet our environmental ambitions.
We couldn't forget that, could we?
No, exactly. But it's, you know, it's but this will become more and more regular, and then I won't comment on it anymore because it'll be something that we do with everything that we procure. But it's great to see it here.
Absolutely agree. Good. Can't see anyone else indicating on this. So the recommendations are on page 593, 1 and 2. Can I see all those in favour? That is carried. Thank you very much. Right, I've not had any referrals from other council committees and I've not had any urgent business. Would someone move exclusion of press and public? Councillor Bath, is that seconded? Councillor Garawal, is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. So this is the point we say goodbye to those at home. Wishing you all a very happy Christmas, and any public in the gallery will now need to leave as well with my best wishes for Christmas as well. See you in the new year.